So, I'm going to say something about Elon Musk's Mars. Where do I begin? I haven't worked out how to show charts at the same time on this screen, so I'll just have to talk about the chart. And it's quite wacky talking about Elon Musk's Mars because, of course, he wants to go to Mars. And this is where astrology has these kind of weird synchronicities. I mean, Elon Musk's Mars is in Aquarius in the just at the beginning of the 8th house. It's trine to Venus, so that's quite nice. And it's next to his north node. That's the thing. It's next to his north node, so there's significance, there's destiny at work here around his Mars. And in Aquarius, of course, it's progressive, it's unconventional, and it's progressive in the sense that he wants to literally get us to Mars. That progresses things. Whether or not you think that's a good or a bad progress is beside the point. We're not here to make those sort of judgments. It's progressive. It's moving humanity into somewhere new. That's what he wants to do. And that's what I want to talk about, really. Whether he'll actually achieve it or not, I don't know. But it's just because it's a bit bizarre. Now, here we go. Elon. The name Elon comes from his maternal great-grandfather. He was named after him. I don't know why. I could probably find out why. But here's what's more interesting, because Elon is also a fictional character that was created in 1952 by Wernher von Braun, who was that rocket engineer, the Nazi rocket engineer who ended up working for the Americans. I mean, he was a scientist. He'd just worked for whoever his masters were. That's what scientists are, often. And he invented a fictional character in 1952 called Elon, or the Elon, who was the commander of the mission to Mars. He lived on Mars and he was the commander there. So this is what's weird, yeah, that he would be named in that sort of way, probably completely unconsciously, but it's like destiny intervening. That's what astrology shows you sometimes, destiny intervening. And the way astrology shows this is that Wernher von Braun, he was born in 1912, and the MC of his chart, the overhead point, the public point, was at 20 Aquarius. Elon Musk's Mars is at 19 Aquarius. So there you go. There's astrology showing us the hand of destiny. Isn't that extraordinary? So we've got that to start with. Yeah? And it does give us a model of existence of like there's something there to unfold. James Hillman's acorn theory. Yeah. We are this unfolding seed and we catch glimpses of it occasionally, and we think we've got free choice, and we do, but we've only got free choice to do that which we have to do. So get your head around that. Anyway, back to Elon Musk's Mars. It's been retrograde since he was about 12 or 13. In his progress chart, it's been retrograde. It's been going backwards. And so I looked up, when did he first start thinking about it would be a good idea to get humanity to Mars? And I asked Grok, which is his large language model, which of course is now more powerful than anyone else's, because he wants it to be based on truth. Otherwise, he says, we're getting AI off on the wrong foot. And that's why he started Grok, because because ChatGPT, etc., were very woke. And Grok's only a bit woke. A woke means that you lie, because you say things like it's worse to misgender someone than to have nuclear war, which is just a lie, but that's how they were. So anyway, that was a digression. I was talking about him and Mars. It was when his progressed Mars started to grow retrograde in his teens that he began thinking about going to Mars. And that's what retrograde does, is it brings us inwards, it gets us thoughtful, and then when it moves forward, we can go forward. Now his progressed Mars is still retrograde, and it's going to be retrograde for another 19 years. Now his mission isn't to send a rocket to Mars, his mission is to get humanity to Mars. But he needs to start with a rocket, which is much easier. And his progressed Mars crosses his progressed north node in 3 years' time. So that's the sort of time you can imagine him getting a rocket to Mars. He's talked about 2026, end of next year. Give it a couple more years, because there's only a window every 2 years for going to Mars, because often it's the opposite side of the sun to us and you need to have them aligned. So 2029, that's when he could get his rocket there. And he's going, and then 2 years after that, maybe humans. And of course, it's not going to be like that. And I suggest it's going to be 19 years. When his progressed Mars starts to go forward, that's when it can happen. His lifelong dream, when he will be in his, he'll be about 74 by then. His lifelong dream to get humans to Mars. And that's when it could happen. It could take another 20 years. So isn't that fascinating? You get these weird synchronicities in astrology. Like I did it with the superheroes about 20 years ago. I looked them up. Their publication date. When was Superman first published? When was The Incredible Hulk first published? And Spider-Man. And what I noticed is they all had a Jupiter Chiron aspect in their charts. Yeah, Jupiter is the superhero, isn't it? He expands. He's king of the gods. Chiron is the wound, the incurable wound. And that's what they all had. Superman had this incurable wound called kryptonite because he'd come from another planet. Spider-Man, well, he'd been bitten by a spider. The Incredible Hulk, he'd been exposed to gamma rays. They'd all been wounded one way or another, and that had given them their superpowers. And I looked up Batman, and it's interesting, he didn't have the Jupiter Chiron aspect. But of course, he hasn't got superpowers, has he? So there you go. It works. Isn't it extraordinary? Isn't it weird how synchronicity is sometimes? Anyway, back to Elon Musk, because there's something else I want to say about his chart, which is that he's a double Cancer. Sun and rising sign in Cancer. Sun in the 12th. There's his collective mission, the 12th collective house. He's got Mercury almost bang on his rising sign. Well, he's a great communicator. He's always communicating. He owns Twitter, for heaven's sakes, and he puts up as many tweets as anyone. He really does communicate his vision to people. But he's double Cancer. And here's the interesting thing, is that that's a very feelingful sign. And yet he's the first to admit, if admission's the right word, that he is autistic. And here's an interesting thing about autism. I was watching Simon Baron-Cohen the other day being interviewed. He's sort of Mr. Autism or Professor Autism at Cambridge. He's written books about it. And he makes a distinction between cognitive empathy and affective empathy. Cognitive empathy is when you can read how people are, which is what autistic people aren't good at. But affective empathy is that you have feelings for people, you care about people. And he made the point that a lot of autistic people, they may not have cognitive empathy, they may not be able to read you. But once they do know that you're suffering, they've got bundles of care. They really do care. So that doesn't mean that you're cold. And I think Elon Musk is in this category. He's motivated by love of humanity. He wants humanity to progress. Lots of people think, oh, because he's wealthy and successful, it must all be self-interested. You miss out on so much when you're cynical like that, cynical about powerful people. They're always a mixed bag of motives, and don't be in a rush to judge them. You don't know them. It's often self-serving just to dismiss them and be cynical. No, Elon Musk, and he's not perfect, but he does really care. There's his double Cancer. He wants humanity to survive. He's the great mother of humanity. He wants to give birth to humans on another planet. And his sun is square to Uranus. So there's the alternative thinking. There's the restless inventiveness. It's exactly the same as Captain Fitzroy on the Beagle. Sun in Cancer, square to Uranus. There's the unusual home. His was on a ship. He took Darwin around the world. He was a restlessly inventive guy, like Elon Musk. And his alternative home, of course, is Mars. So there you go. That's something about his autism. I mean, it's well worth reading Walter Isaacson's biography of him, and you get a flavour of what he can be like. I mean, when things aren't going well business-wise, he will blame someone, be savage to them, and then completely forget that he has been. And there's the lack of kind of cognitive empathy of what he's done. I mean, his temper. I mean, the way he treated Trump when they fell out. Whoa. I mean, he was apologetic about it. But all the same. So there's something about Elon Musk and his Mars and his cognitive empathy. Okay, I think I'll leave it there. Except he does have Neptune coming up to square his Mars in the next few years. Sorry, square his Sun in the next few years. His Sun's at 7 degrees Cancer. Neptune will square that in 2 or 3 years. So that might be another step forward. That might be the next stage in his dream. He actually gets a rocket to Mars. I follow the details of it. They need to have it reusable, and getting a heat shield for a rocket that size that is reusable is very, very difficult. That's the most difficult problem they've got. The other problem they've got is once it's on Mars, it needs to be able to create fuel to come back. And they need some kind of nuclear generator there to get the energy to bang carbon and hydrogen together, and probably an Optimus robot. God knows how they'll sort that one out, but it's certainly given him a problem to work on. Okay, I'll leave it there.